Right now, 111 million Americans are trapped in a cycle they don't even know exists. You swipe your card, you pay your minimum, you feel responsible, and the bank is silently making thousands of dollars off you. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exposing the trillion-dollar trap of the credit card industry. We're going to look at the exact hidden mechanics these banks use to keep you paying, and then we're breaking down the exact strategies you need to beat the house. Let's dive right in. So 111 million Americans are trapped. Picture this, right? You're just a normal person, a little stick figure happily swiping a piece of plastic at the store. But what you don't see is the money silently siphoning straight out of your back pocket and funneling directly into a massive bank vault. That is exactly what's happening to roughly 40% of US adults who just can't pay their full balance each month. And listen, this isn't a story about your personal failure. This is about a highly engineered system designed specifically to keep you on the hook. And the scale of this crime? It's absolutely staggering. $1.28 trillion. That is the total US credit card debt as we look toward 2025. What's really wild is that this number grew by a massive 40% in just 3 short years. To put that into perspective, the average cardholder with unpaid debt is carrying around $8,000. Now, you might be wondering, how are they making so much cash? Well, the banking industry's secret lies in how they structure their revenue. A staggering 56% of credit card revenues come entirely from interest. The banks aren't making their real money from charging merchants those little swipe fees. No way. They make their money from you, from keeping you stuck in debt. In 2024 alone, consumers were hit with a mind-blowing $160 billion in interest charges. So let's get into Section 1, how the banks trap you. And let me be clear, this is a deliberate design, not an accident. Let's peel back the curtain and look at the highly engineered booby traps this industry uses to keep you paying month after month, year after year. Let's start with the most insidious trick of the whole bunch, the minimum payment. Say you owe $5,000. Your minimum payment is $125. You pay it, you feel pretty responsible, right? But out of that $125, only $21 actually goes towards your debt. $104 went straight to the bank as pure interest. Fast forward to month 6. You've paid $750 in minimum payments, but your actual balance? It only dropped by $125. The bank just kept the rest. Imagine a massive, heavy iron weight, labeled minimum payment, chained to your ankle, anchoring you to the floor, completely stuck, while this mountain of debt just keeps piling up above you. Next up is the classic bait and switch. You see the shiny offer, right? 0% APR for 15 months. You apply, you transfer your debt, you feel like a genius. But behind that 0% sign is a ticking clock. Because the second that time runs out, boom, it detonates, completely transforming into a massive 29% APR deferred interest bomb. If you haven't paid off every single cent by the end of that promotion, all the interest from the entire 15 months can suddenly get charged to you all at once. You literally end up owing more than you started with. Which brings us to a question that honestly might sting a little. Are you really winning with rewards? The banks have created these flashy programs, cashback, airline miles, points, that make you feel like you are gaming the system. Earning points feels like winning. But let's look at the actual reality behind the curtain. Here is the devastating math. Let's say you earn an amazing 2% cashback. You spend 10 grand, you get a $200 reward. You feel fantastic. But if you carry that average balance of about $7,800, a 25% interest rate triggers $164 in interest in a single month. In just over 4 weeks, your entire $200 reward is completely wiped out by interest, leaving you with a net loss. The reward is literally an illusion designed to make you spend more. Then, of course, there's the retail checkout ambush. You know the drill. You're at the register and the cashier says, "Hey, save 20% today by opening a card." You save $40 on your new clothes. Incredible, right? Well, the average APR on these retail cards is a jaw-dropping 32.66%. If you carry that balance for just 6 months, you pay $25 in interest. Your $40 in savings evaporates, and now you are permanently trapped with a 30+% APR card. Now listen, if you've fallen into any of these traps, hear this loud and clear. You are not irresponsible. Which brings us to Section 2, the psychology of spending. Your brain is literally being hacked. You're fighting billions of dollars in weaponized behavioral science. The banks know exactly how the human mind works. First, they use a behavioral concept called decoupling. Handing over physical cash triggers an actual feeling of loss in your brain. It literally hurts a little bit. But swiping a piece of plastic or just tapping your phone, it bypasses that psychological break completely. Studies show people spend 12 to 18% more when paying by card precisely because the bank removed the pain of the purchase.
Then, they weaponize a little trick called anchoring. When your statement arrives, the bank prints your massive $7,800 balance, but right beneath it, they prominently display a $158 minimum payment. Your brain instantly anchors to that small number. You feel relief, it feels manageable. Well, that feeling of relief is engineered. It keeps you ignoring the larger threat, so the bank can happily keep collecting interest for the next 20 years.
All right, enough with the traps. We know the psychology. Now for Section 3, escape the debt cycle. This is how you beat the house. Let's look at your high-octane escape plan. Strategy number 1 is the balance transfer. And honestly, you have to run this like an elaborate heist plan. You apply for a 0% APR card, moving your high-interest debt over, but you absolutely must follow these rules. Calculate the transfer fee first. Set up automatic payments so you pay it off before the bomb detonates. You never make new purchases on this card. And the most critical rule of all, freeze or cancel the old card. Literally stick it in a block of ice in your freezer if you have to, just so you don't double your debt.
Strategy 2 is the debt avalanche. If you're a numbers person, this is the mathematically optimal way to save money. First, you list out your cards by highest APR, not by the balance. You make the minimum payments on everything, but you throw every single extra dollar at the card with the highest interest rate. Once it's dead, you take that entire payment amount and roll it like a massive avalanche onto the next highest APR card. On a $15,000 balance, this method alone saves you between $800 and $1,500 in interest compared to just making minimum payments.
And finally, the 10-minute secret that almost nobody uses. Just call and negotiate. Call your bank, tell them you're struggling with the rate, and ask for a lower one. Casually mention you're looking at a competitor's offer. Do you know what happens? 70% of people who simply call their bank and ask for a lower rate actually get one. You can instantly save hundreds of dollars a year in just 10 minutes. But here's the catch. The banks will never, ever offer it to you unless you ask. So you have the blueprint now. You know their traps. Picture taking a massive sledgehammer and completely shattering that heavy minimum payment anchor into a million little pieces. The banks are counting on you not knowing this. Now you do. It is time to escape the trap. If this opened your eyes, share this explainer immediately with someone who desperately needs to hear it. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you next time.